Can the Independence Mustangs get their first ever trip to the UD Dome? But the Humboldt Wildcats and Lance Kuhn and Will Ness looking to get there for the second year in a row. Can East Buchanan make the UD Dome for the second year in a row? Coach Alden and Coach Nathan Reck looking to hand Gunny Center their first loss of the year with the state's number one rushing attack in the state of Iowa. All that and Inside the Huddle as Coach Justin Putz joins the show. Inside the Huddle starts next on Inside the Huddle. Inside the Huddle on the JT Sports Network is presented by Coors Extra Sauce. Home of the best barbecue you can get in Eastern Iowa. They've been serving award-winning barbecue since 2018 at 114 East Green Street in Walker, Iowa. 114 East Green Street in Walker, Iowa. And you can get a hold of them also at 319-488-4888. 319-448-4888. 319-488-4888. And at www.itchasauce.com. www.itchasauce.com. And Interstate Swine helping to raise fresh and safe pork for your family and community in East Iowa since 1998 with the entire Interstate Swine team with Todd Wiley, Dave Cockeyes, Cliff McKinley, Ben Saylor, and Rob Turner. It's going to be a good one here. It's going to be a good one here. We win the Independence a little bit later on in the show. First game that we're talking about today is East Buchanan taking on Gurney Center. As East Buchanan coming into this game with a 54-24 win over the Albernet Pirates when they didn't even complete a pass. That is impressive. You won a game without even completing a pass. And that's impressive for two reasons. You rush an attack. Is that good? Or you have to rely on them a lot. I think you're not going to win this game by just pounding the rock. Tristan Russell will have to make plays. He will have to make plays for them to have a chance. You have to make plays, Tristan Russell, if you want to have a chance. Because this Gurney Center team is amazing. Top to bottom. I think Gurney Center has the advantage in this one, but you have a moment here where it's going to be a factor where I think if East Buchanan just hangs around, just keeps hanging around, it's going to be a very good night for the Bucks. But you've got to say, this is going to be the same thing for Independence. East Buchanan and Independence has to stay within 7 to 10 points at all times. 7 to 10. Because last year Independence got down 14 in the first 3 minutes of the ball game. But Independence came back valiantly with one of the most dominant first half performance by a wide receiver in Independence history. He had 13 catches, 220 yards for Keegan Schmidt. He was absolutely huge in that game. And I'm going to say this right now. Mitch Johnson has to be able to throw the ball tonight if you're Independence. But that's not here or there right now. But the rushing attack, 3 1,000-yard rushers. Tanner Thurm, 1,427 yards rushing. Rylan Cornell, 1,253 yards rushing, 18 touchdowns. 21 touchdowns with Thurm. Hunter Bowers, 1,773, and 11 touchdowns. The main key there is running the football. But then for the Spartans, Colin Gordon. Colin Gordon is an amazing quarterback. 1,609 yards passing, 17 touchdowns, 9 rushing touchdowns. And Justin Canuck, 16 rushing touchdowns, 615 yards, 16 rushing touchdowns. Big key, Face Buchanan. And then Clay Sack, 377 yards and 5 touchdowns for Clay Sack. But the big key for the Bucks is this. You got to go out there and play your game. Because I think in this scenario, if East Buchanan makes sure that they can dry the field and keep Grundy Center off the field, and they don't have to score points on every drive. They don't. But you got to at least sustain drives consistently. Get a couple first downs, milk clock. The less possessions you give Colin Gordon and the Spartan offense, advantage Buccaneers. I think that's the only way you win this game if you're East Buchanan. Because the only way I see East Buchanan winning this game if they win the time of possession. Because against a team like Grundy Center, you've got to keep them off the field. Because you can't beat a team like Grundy Center by punting the ball back to them constantly. And that's a big key there. Receiving-wise, for the Spartans, they led by their three-headed monster, Tate Judovisky, Ben Weekman, and Trianan Vokes. 444 yards, 5 touchdowns for Judovisky, 434 yards, and 3 touchdowns for Weekman, and 322 yards, and 7 touchdowns for Vokes. It's going to be a big key here for the Spartans. Can they make plays? I think they will. Colin Gordon, he can make plays. But I think the big key for the Bucs, can Tristan Russell make plays? The quarterback for East Buchanan. If he can make plays, this game's going to be close, or East Buchanan wins. Because I don't believe you beat Grundy Center by no pass completions again. You got to pass the ball and be able to pass the ball against this team. And try to spread them out. Get them. And another thing, penalties. Penalties, turnovers, especially on big plays. And this goes for Independence tonight, too. For East Buchanan and Independence, you cannot allow penalties on big plays. And you cannot have penalties to put you behind the chains. You can't be 1st and 15 or 2nd and 15. You've got to stay ahead of the chains. Against Grundy Center and Humboldt, you have to stay ahead of the chains because they will make you pay for it. They will make you pay for it. Because they will send blitzers and that, but you got to stay ahead of the chains against these two defenses. Against Humboldt and Grundy Center, you got to stay ahead of the chains. Because Independence and East Buchanan wants to be 2nd and 4, 2nd and 5, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. Have 3rd and manageable, 2nd and manageable. If you have that, you're in good shape. But you can't have 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 11, 3rd and 7. Because then your playbook is a lot more not open. The big key for those two teams, staying over the chains. And then it's Indianola taking on Cedar Rapids Xavier. Indianola in the Class 4A quarterfinals. Indianola won over Bondurant Farrar 35-13. They're taking on the number 1 team in Class 4A, the undefeated Cedar Rapids Xavier Saints, who won over Cedar Rapids Washington 44-7. But this guy, Bennett Bruck, is the real deal. I don't think Indianola wins this game. But if Bennett Brook and Matthew Eggleston, but they have to have a big game from Drew Kingery. Drew Kingery has to be the big guy here for Indianola. He has to. Because if you're Indianola, you have the quarterback to combat Xavier. You have a star wide receiver to combat Xavier. For a team to beat Xavier, you have to have a star quarterback and at least one star wide receiver and a star running back. Every team that has beat Xavier in the Dwayne Schulte era has had a star quarterback, wide receiver, and running back. Indianola has that set up. Bennett Brook is one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the state of Iowa right now. Because he has 2,262 yards passing, 23 touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns, 152 out of 245. That's pretty good completion percentage. And he also has Matthew Eggleston, who has 169 carries for 979 yards, 12 touchdowns, 1 receiving touchdown. And also Drew Kingery with 57 receptions, 1,124 yards, 15 touchdowns. And then Will Shivers, 578 yards and 5 touchdowns. I think Indianola keeps this game close. They have the ability to keep this game close for the Indians against the Saints tonight. And people are going to say this game's going to be a blowout. They have the talent to keep this game close. It's going to be a factor. Can they keep it close? They have the talent to keep this game close. Can Bennett Brook win his first signature game as an Indianola Indian, as a senior? All these guys are seniors. All these big players are seniors. Brock, Eggleston, Kingery, Shivers, Johnny Menke on defense. All seniors. This is a very senior-heavy Indianola team. And Indianola, I think they're underrated in this game. People are not giving them much of a chance against the top dog in Class 4A. But I really think here, in this game, Indianola has a... If they can move the ball, this game's going to be a fun game to watch. Just telling you that right now. But for Cedar Rapids, Xavier, Rowan Thomas, 71 completions, 112 yards, 1,143 yards. Passing, 17 touchdowns, and also 5 on the ground for Rowan Thomas. He also has the dynamic running back of Michael Cunningham. 148 carries for 1,160 yards, 19 touchdowns, 108 receptions, and 1 touchdown. And Colton Beasley Weber, 417 yards, 5 touchdowns as well for him. When you come back with another segment, you have Inside the Huddle on the JT Sports Network. Be ready to talking about Independence game against Humboldt, and Coach Judson Putz will join the show later live on Inside the Huddle with his keys to the game against the Humboldt Wildcats. You're seeing the Inside the Huddle on the JT Sports Network. Inside the Huddle on the JT Sports Network is presented by Coors Extra Sauce at 114 East Green Street in Walker, Iowa. Some of the best barbecue you can get in Eastern Iowa. They've been serving award-winning barbecue since 2018 at 114 East Green Street in Walker, Iowa. 114 East Green Street in Walker, Iowa. Their phone number is 319-488-4888. 319-488-4888. And at www.itjustsauce.com. www.itjustsauce.com. And Interstate Swine, helping to raise fresh and safe pork for your family and your community in Iowa since 1998. With the entire Interstate Swine team, Todd Wiley, Dave Clarkis, Cliff McKinley, and Ben Seiler, and Rob Turner. Welcome back. Welcome back in the Inside the Huddle. Next game we talk about is the fourth quarterfinal between Iowa City Liberty and Carlisle. Both teams 9-1 on the year. Iowa City Liberty won 24-14 over Webster City. Carlisle, conversely, won 48-28 over Newton. And it's going to be a good game, but Graham Beckman is going to be a big point in this game for the Lightning. He can move around. He can make plays offensively. And that's going to be that. 15 minutes at 10:30. The interview with Coach Justin Putz will be played at 10:30. The interview with Coach Justin Putz will be played at 10:30. It's going to be a big factor, and then it's going to be a half an hour segment of all Independence Mustang pregame against the Humboldt Wildcats tonight. And if you want to listen in to the Independence Mustangs tonight, go to www.indymustangsports.com and click the football link to listen to the broadcast tonight with Ben Hupke and Chad Beatty, Coach Chad Beatty, on the call from Wildcat Field in Humboldt tonight. But back to coverage here of Iowa City Liberty. Graham Beckman has been absolutely amazing this year. 29 passing touchdowns, 2,013 yards receiving. And Trey Georgi with 534 yards, rushing 9 touchdowns. Gary Georgi, Wyatt Williams, Lucas Meyer, Christian Barney. They have a four-headed monster at Iowa City Liberty. They really do. Because they have 3 players over 300 yards. Almost 4 players over 400 yards. With 8, 5, and 6 touchdowns. Very impressive for Iowa City Liberty. And then go and Joe Goodyear. Then Solon taking on Mount Vernon tonight. Solon 8-2 with a win over West Delaware, 42-18. And then taking on the 10-0 Mount Vernon Mustangs in Mount Vernon tonight with a win over Central DeWitt, 23-9. Blake Timmons is going to be good here today as Blake Timmons. If someone wants to win this game, Blake Timmons has to show up. Blake Timmons, I know what he's capable of because he played against my Mustangs in the 2019-2020 playoffs, and he went ham. He went ham. He was a baller in that game. He really was. Because Blake Timmons, don't take him lightly. He can run. He can throw. He can throw with power, and he can hit receivers in stride. This is going to be a very fun game to watch tonight in Mount Vernon. The battle of Highway 1 and Highway 30, the border highway showdown, and a playoff game with a shot to the Unidome on the line. And this could be the winner of the Independence Humboldt's game opponent. That's my opinion. I hope they don't draw the winner of this game against Harlan. Because that would be an absolute travesty if they put the winner of the Independence Humboldt game against Harlan or the other team. I can't remember the team name off the top of my head. I will look it up. But I think the winner of this game, the Independence Humboldt game, should take on either Solon or Mount Vernon. That's my opinion. It's going to be a factor. And Oaken Foster. And a big key to this game is Oaken Foster. Oaken Foster, they have been heavily relying on the run. But against Mount Vernon, Blake Timmons has the arm. And Blake Timmons has the talent around him. And this is going to be another factor Another factor, can they move the ball? Can they sustain drives against that electric, high-flying Mustang offense led by Joey Romberg, 2,218 yards, 24 touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns as well, and Henry Ryan with 10 rushing touchdowns. But look at this receiving core. Evan Brazzi, Caden Stemel, Jensen Meeker with 6, 4, 4 touchdowns to boot for the Mustang offense. And it's going to be the big key for Solon. Can they move the ball? Can they sustain drives consistently enough to keep Mount Vernon off the field? That's going to be key if you're a Solon fan. If you're a Mustang fan, business as usual. Run reverses and that stuff. That's going to be the key for the Mustangs. And then it's the Class 5A quarterfinal. West Des Moines Valley taking on Cedar Falls. West Des Moines Valley won an upset over ranked number 3 Pleasant Valley last week, 15-10. They go into the Unidome tonight and take on the Cedar Falls Tigers, 8-2 on the year, win over Ankeny Centennial, 14-10. It's going to be a big factor. Micah Punavissa is going to be a big factor in this win, and he's going to be a big factor in this game. Darius Mason, 616 yards, 7 touchdowns for Darius Mason. And it's going to be a big factor is Aiden Price as well, if we can get in there too. But Cedar Falls, they're highly relied on Drake Gelhaus. Drake Gelhaus, 1,353 yards, rushing 14 touchdowns for Gelhaus. And Tate Hermson is underrated thrower for the Tigers, 800 yards, 5 touchdowns, 4 rushing touchdowns for Tate Hermson for the Cedar Falls Tigers. And the big key in this game, can Valley, Micah Punavissa, win you this game? Can he be patient enough against Cedar Falls? Move, use your legs, scramble. Make sure you can go out there and play ball. And then this big game here in Class 2A quarterfinal between 73 Cresco with a 20-18 win over Waukon, and then Dubuque Wallet. What did I say about Dubuque Wallet last week on the show? If you don't remember, go look. Go look. I predicted that Dubuque Waller had a chance to beat West Marshall. And he did that last week, 21-14. They upset West Marshall in West Marshall. And now they have to go to call Bouldercofer and the Cresco Cadets. It's going to be a big factor. Can they go out and do it again? I think they can. I think that Dubuque Wallet can make the Unidome for the first time in a long time. But the key for the Cadets is get Cole Bouldercofer out there, because he has 7 passing touchdowns, 18 rushing touchdowns. He leads the team in passing, rushing, and tackles. That is amazing to watch if you're a Cresco Cadet fan. But rushing as well, Maurice Powell, 737 yards rushing, 6 touchdowns. Topa Pagal, also the leading receiver on this Cresco Cadet team. 400 yards receiving, 400 yards rushing. And then Brock Vienna. But the Golden Eagles, right here, these two right here, is going to be key for Wallet. Bryce Rudiger and Ryan Brocious. If they have a big night tonight, Wallet's going to the Unidome. If they don't, they're not. Because I told you last week that Rudiger and Brocious has to have a big game to beat West Marshall, and they did. They had over 300 yards offense combined between the two. Because I thought the big Waller was going to spread them out, and they did. The big key for Waller is doing that again. Running the ball with Brocious, because he has the brother of Jake Brocious, the college baseball recruit, and that is Speedster in the family, and that's going to be a big key there. Class 5A quarterfinal, Southeast Polk. Take it on Prairie, Cale Sullivan, and Mark Kelly Taylor. And then for the Rams, Connor Mahaby with 1,495 yards, 11 passing touchdowns, 4 rushing touchdowns as well. Harrison Gibson, Abdu Siema, the Iowa State recruit, is 853 yards, 18 touchdowns. We'll be back with the pregame for the Independence Mustangs taking on the Humboldt Wildcats. You complete uninterrupted coverage of the Mustangs and Wildcats. And plus, Coach Justin Putz joins the show. It's coming up next. You'll see your Inside the Huddle on the JT Sports Network. Inside the Huddle on the JT Sports Network is presented by Coolidge. It's Your Sauce. Some of the best barbecue you can get in Eastern Iowa. They've been an award-winning barbecue in Eastern Iowa since 2018. At 114 East Green Street in Walker, Iowa. 114 East Green Street in Walker, Iowa. The phone number is 319-488-4888. 319-488-4888. And at www.itchasauce.com. www.itchasauce.com. And Interstate Swine, helping to raise fresh and safe pork for your family and your community in Iowa since 1998. With the entire Interstate Swine team, Todd Wiley, Dave Carcas, Cliff McKinley, Ben Seiler, and Rob Turner. And welcome back into the show. And here's what head Mustang mentor Justin Putz thought about the win against Bay Community and the keys to get Independence's first ever dome appearance in school history.
Here with the head coach of the Independence Mustang, Justin Putz. How you doing?
Good, JT. Thanks for having me again.
It was a ground-out win against the Bank Community Bobcats in front of a raucous land ball field last Friday night. And what was the overall takeaway from that round of 16 win over Bank Community?
I thought we had a few chances to, kind of take control of that game. We got by 10 a couple of different spots, and but knowing the playoffs and knowing Ben's community and their style of football and how well coached they are, it's going to be a battle. So that didn't surprise us. I thought we did a good job of answering anytime we had to, and quite honestly, about handling a little adversity with some calls or things that didn't go our way. But we've won 4 games now by 7 points or less. I think that our team understands that we're going to be there all game long, and we're not going anywhere. And let's go find a way.
And your opponent in the quarterfinals is the Humboldt Wildcats, the rematch of last year. You found yourself 14 of them down. Your team battled back, but this team runs through Lance Kuhn.
Yeah, he's a really good back. He's probably the back we've seen all year. If not, he's right up there with them. They got some really good linemen. Really impressed with them. They're going to run kind of a gun tee system and come at you there. And Will Warness at quarterback, athletic kid, 1,000-yard receiver last year, can make you pay if you fall asleep with him as well. So just a really good football team. But when you talk about playing to go to the dome, I guess there's no bad teams left. So it's one of those things you got to be up for the challenge and be excited about it.
And the one thing I think the story of this game is going to be winning the line of scrimmage, offensively, defensively for the Mustangs. If the Mustangs can make sure they win the line of scrimmage, they have a shot to win this.
Yeah, no, certainly, and that's going to be easier said than done too. And I think Humboldt's defensive line, really is the best overall unit that I've seen all year. Any team we played, the D-line, the 3 guys that played D-line for Humboldt are the best units that I've seen all year. Really, really good. Really, really solid. Big, don't go anywhere. They're nice.
And another thing, like you said, another key, and especially like a team like Humboldt, the thing that I'm going to look at is penalty, turnovers. You got to force turnovers and catch them in with touchdowns, not field goals.
Yeah, and And, I think that's probably one of the things we struggle. We haven't forced a lot of turnovers this year, by our standards. And, we don't turn it over a ton either, but one of the things we turned betting over the last series of the game. But other than that, we hadn't turned them over. But we don't commit a ton of penalties, and I think that's the best thing for success for us. But definitely, and you get there to find a way to knock the ball loose or get your hands on the pitch, you got to make the play in the playoffs.
Yeah, and the last question. One of the things is going to be your 3 keys to a Mustang victory to get your first ever appearance inside the dome for your Independence Mustangs.
Yeah, I think JT hit the nail on the head. Got to win the line of scrimmage. We got the Bills on the football. Last year, I thought they did a great job of taking that away from us. And then, you got to make the play when you're able to make it. Whether that's an offense or defense, one-on-one play, whoever makes the most throws in a playoff game, happens to normally come out on top.
Thank you, and good luck against the Wildcats.
Thanks, JT.
That was Coach Justin Putz on the Independence Mustangs. And it's going to be a big factor in this game. My opinion is time of possession. If Independence can sustain drives and get 5-minute drive here, 5-minute drive there, 4-minute drive there, 5-minute drive there, and you can condense how many times Humboldt has the football, advantage Mustangs. Because if you can condense the drives of Humboldt and not going 3 and out, you can't give this Humboldt team extra possessions. Because they will make you pay for it. They made Hampton Dumont pay last week for extra possessions in a 36-0 win. Just like last year. Humboldt started out slow against them, but they picked it up real quickly. And so with a big quarterback option from Ornes to Kuhn off of a speed pitch and not get them off and running. And 2, you can't give any extra confidence to this Humboldt team. If you have them buried, you got to bury them while you have a chance to, because you can't bring them back in it. And the big key for the Mustangs is, can you make the one-on-one play like Coach Putz says? And in a one-on-one tackle situation, can you tackle them behind the chains and not let them get 5 yards or 6 yards or get a first down? Or he breaks the tackle and he's off to the races. That's going to be the key for the Mustangs. Can they really? I think they have the talent to win this game. I think they do. Because BC Moore has Independence as an 18-point underdog. I don't think Independence is an 18-point underdog. I really think they're not. Because Independence has the talent to win this game. And Trey Weber has been absolutely amazing this year. 868 yards rushing, 115 yards, 11 touchdowns for Trey. Mitchell Johnson, for the year, has 1,554 yards receiving, 16 touchdowns, 705 on the ground, and 13 touchdowns. The big key for the Mustangs is just like he said, can Independence go out there and win the line of scrimmage? And my key is sustaining drives. If it's third down, you got to stay within third and manageable almost half of the time against this Humboldt team. You got to stay within third and four and up. So 4, 3, 2, 1. You got to stay within that range. Because you can't get into 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10 against the team. And then also, you can't get false starts to put you behind the chains. They make it 1st and 15. 2nd and 20. Those penalties are drive killers. They are. Just call them like they are. Penalties are drive killers. Because it's going to be a factor in this game. Can Independence be disciplined? Can Independence be disciplined in this type of environment? In this type of scenario? Because this is their second time being here. Independence has a little bit of jitters last year. Because they never been to the quarterfinals before. Now they know what to expect. Because they're a second trip to the quarterfinals. Now they know what to expect. Can the Mustangs get the biggest win in school history tonight. This will be the biggest win in Independence history. Not even close. In my opinion, not even close. You may have your opinion of the biggest win, but to get to the Dome for the first time ever is a pretty big deal. Because it's going to be, can the Mustangs make plays? Offense, defense, special teams, one-on-one plays, the little things. And to be a team like Humboldt, you have to do the little things correctly. No false starts, no offsides, no delay of games. You gotta be good. But the receiving corps has been amazing for the Mustangs this year. And Kurt, McDonald, Hoover, Zach Seidels, they've all been good this year. McDonald, Randy Kurt is actually leading the team in receiving. 425 yards, 5 touchdowns for Brady Kurt. And he's going to be the unsung hero. And you got to be able, I said this last year, Mitchell Johnson has to have at least 120 yards passing or more at half to have a chance. Mitchell Johnson has at least 100 yards or more to have a chance. Because you can't beat this team by consistently punting it back to them. Because sooner or later, they will find a seam. And the more aggressive your defense is, the more plays that they can make. And this is going to be the big factor in this game, in my opinion. Another big factor is turnovers. Can Independence force a turnover and cash it in with points? Because Humboldt is one of the least turnover teams in Class 3A. But if you can get a turnover, punch the ball out, get an interception, give your offense a short field, and cash it in with a touchdown, that's a big win for your Mustang offense. Another key to the game is going to be the front four for the Mustangs versus the front four for the Wildcats. Both offense and defense. The front four for the Mustangs, the front five for the Mustangs, and the front five for the Wildcats. That's going to dictate how this game goes. Because I think you got to rely on the run a little bit, but you got to be balanced. You can't pass the ball every play and beat them. You can't run the ball every play and beat them. You have to have a balanced attack, a 50-50 balance, a run and pass. And on defense, you got to be ready to stop the option and quarterback draw. You got to. You got to watch where the ball is going and stay home. Because they will lull you to sleep. And their speed will, when he turns on the burners, it's good night. But the big key for the Mustangs is staying home, staying disciplined, and playing Mustang football. Because that's going to be the key if you're the Mustangs. But one of the another keys to the game for this one, can the Mustangs get going? I think they can. But the big factor in this one is going to be Lance Kuhn. Lance Kuhn, 1,327 yards rushing, 19 rushing touchdowns. And I believe if you can stop the Wildcat running game, make them one-dimensional, you have a chance to win this game. Because when I watched the footage against Hampton Dumont, they were just a running team. Ornis is a running quarterback. So you got to get ready. Quarterback draw option, Lance Kuhn. I told you last week, Independence had to hold Carson Bronson 120 yards rushing. That happened. What happened? Independence won by 3. And it's going to be a factor where Independence, when holding teams to under 120 yards rushing, they're undefeated this year. Undefeated. 9-0. 9-0. 10-0. actually. The big factor is getting off the field on third down. Getting off the field on third down, making sure you don't be on the field for long drives too. And you gotta answer. And if I was Coach Putz right now, if it's 4th and 2, 4th and 1, I'm going for it. I'm going for it. In a big game like this, you gotta make risky calls. Not risky, but you gotta be aggressive. Like Herman would say, you play to win the game. And if it's 4th and 2, I don't care where it's at. If it's 4th and 1, I don't care where it's at. I would go for it against Humboldt. I'll go for it. Because that can be a momentum shifter. If you can get first down after first down, to get a couple 4th down conversions in there, you have like a 5 to 6 minute drive. That's the recipe for success for the Mustangs. It's sustaining drives, long drives, and keeping the Humboldt offense on the sideline. If you can consistently move the ball against this Humboldt defense, advantage Mustangs. Because the longer you keep that defense on the field, the less possessions Humboldt will get. And the less Humboldt possessions they will get, it's going to be the big factor here. I think this is going to be an undisputed factor in this game. If Independence stops the run and holds them, I will make a prediction right now. If Independence holds Humboldt to under 200 yards total offense, no, if Independence holds them to under 250, Independence wins. That's going to be the big factor. And I'm going to say it again. If Independence holds Humboldt tonight to under 250 yards, Independence wins. Because Independence defense has been elite this year. Sabeka, Hupke, his comeback story has been amazing. Cover Hupke. Can Independence, front 4, speed on the edge? They will try to draw you offside. They will do a lot of motion to try to get you confused. Don't get confused by it. Play your game. They will motion almost every play. I watched on the film against Hampton Dumont. Every play they almost motioned. Because they want to get you out of position. That's why most of their big plays happen. From team being out of position. You can't be out of position against a team like Humboldt. You can't. The big factor here can a big play can happen, but can Independence, like last year, Independence was down 14-0, and then they started to roll. And all started on a halfback pass from Beatty to John. No, it was from Beatty to McDonald. It was Beatty to McDonald last year. That sparked them. And Keegan Schmidt went off the rest of the half. That was one of the most dominant performances in the first half for a Mustang player that I've seen. Ever. In that game last year. For Keegan Schmidt. That was amazing last year. He probably had one of the best games as a receiver, and he lost that game. 49-24. You look at that final score last year and say Independence didn't play well. It was 24-21 at half. Independence just ran out of gas on defense, and you can't run out of gas against this offense. The big factor in this game, I'm gonna tell you this over and over again: line of scrimmage, line of scrimmage, line of scrimmage. Because the big thing is it's gonna be a factor where if you stop the run, make them throw it. I want to see this. I want to see this happen. If Humboldt's rushing attack is not working, if you're a Humboldt fan, you hope he can pass the ball well and that stuff. And that's going to be a thing to see. We will be back here in about 5-minute break. 5-minute break. You're listening to Inside Huddle on the JT Sports Network. Welcome back inside the studio. Inside Huddle on the JT Sports Network. And it's going to be a big game tonight for Independence and a big showdown here between the Wildcats and the Mustangs and the Bucks and the Spartans. But the big key to that game is running the football and make sure you can get the football to them. And everything will be okay in that realm. But I think the big key tonight, I'm going to say it again, for both teams, time of possession. Time of possession is going to be the most underrated stat in this game. is going to be the most underrated stat in these two games. But it tells you who's leading the line of scrimmage. That's going to be the big factor in this game. That's going to be a huge factor in this game if Independence wants to go to the Dome tonight. They got to win a line of scrimmage. They got to win a line of scrimmage and do that stuff. But until next time, I'm Jason Turner. You've been listening to Inside the Huddle on the JT Sports Network.